January's Huron County numbers are in, and they're a good reminder that this market is not one simple story. If you've been watching headlines or feeling unsure about the timing, this video will give you a clear local breakdown of what's actually happening across Huron County. I'm going to break it down, what it means for buyers and sellers across the county. We'll walk through inventory, pricing, days on market, and interest rates, and I'll also share what I'm seeing on the ground as people start thinking about heading into the spring market and trying to decide whether they're gonna buy or sell first. Let's start with inventory because that is where we've saw the most movement in January. We are sitting at a whopping 13.5 months of inventory. Last month we were at 8.1, and this time last year we were at 9.6. That is a significant jump. Months of inventory measures how long it would take to sell everything currently listed if no new homes came on the market. So at 13.5 months, we are in a very buyer-leaning territory across Huron County. But this is where people tend to oversimplify the number. Inventory is not necessarily evenly distributed. A Huron County cottage in Bayfield is not competing with a detached home in Exeter. Acreage outside of Wingham is not competing with a family home in Brussels. So even in a higher inventory market, certain price brackets and property types can feel tighter than the headline suggests. What I am seeing in this kind of environment is that leverage often shifts in the terms before it shifts dramatically in the price. So buyers are negotiating conditions, inspection scopes, and closing timelines. Sellers who are preparing early and pricing with precision are feeling more steady, and sellers who wait and chase the market down are tending to feel more stressed. And if you're planning a spring listing, January inventory is your early signal to quietly get ready now so you're not competing unprepared once the spring market picks up and you may have a lot of competition. Now let's talk about price because this is where context really matters in Huron County. The average price in January was $645,000. Last month, it was around $451,000. Last January, it was $650,000. The median price was $447,000 this month. And last month, it was $500,000. So last January, it was $555,000. When you see the average jump but the median still sit lower, that usually tells us a few higher priced rural or acreage properties sold and that pulled up the average. And because our market includes condos, detached homes, farms, cottages, and larger rural properties, it does not take many higher end sales to shift that number. So this is not a straight up or straight down story. It really is about different price ranges are behaving differently at the same time. If you are under $500,000, your demand pool looks very different than if you are at a $900,000 budget. So instead of asking what is the market doing, the smarter question right now is what is happening in my price range. Days on market increase, which lines up with what inventories is telling us. We are sitting at 98 days on market in January. Last month it was 79, and last January it was 92. So year over year, we're actually not far off. The bigger shift was month to month. Homes are taking longer to sell than December and slightly longer than this time last year. But longer does not mean broken. In a 13.5 month inventory environment, buyers simply have more options. They move more carefully, they compare more, they pause more, and that doesn't mean that they are not buying. It means that they are evaluating. And here is what I consistently see. If a home is not getting second showings, that is almost always a pricing alignment conversation. If it is getting second showings but no offer, that is usually about the experience, the condition, or the perceived value. Days on market is not a failure metric. It is a feedback tool, and sellers who treat it that way will adjust strategically instead of emotionally, and that is what keeps them in control. Now let's talk about interest rates because that's always part of the conversation. As of late January, fixed rates are sitting around 4.19% and variable around 3.9%. The Bank of Canada is holding its policy rate at 2.25%, which is the bottom of what they consider neutral. We have seen small adjustments in fixed mortgage pricing as bond yields move, but overall rates are fairly stable. 3 and 5 year fixed rates remain the most popular options among buyers. When the spread between them is small, many buyers lean towards 5-year fixed for the added stability. At the same time, variable rates are slightly lower right now, and some professionals believe that they may offer lower overall borrowing costs across the full term if rate cuts happen later in the cycle. The key point is this: rates are not spiking unpredictably. Buyers in Huron County are still qualifying and still purchasing. They are simply thinking more carefully about risk and tolerance and monthly comfort. And honestly, I think that's a healthier mindset than what we have seen in some of the faster markets in the past. So when we zoom out, here is what January 2026 is really telling us about the Huron County housing market. Inventory is up, days on market is longer, sales are slightly up from last year with 98 compared to 94. Not a huge difference. New listings also came in at 98, and prices are behaving differently depending on the price range and not collapsing. And rates are steady. Emotionally, what I'm seeing from buyers is a hesitation mixed with curiosity. They are trying to understand value. There is still some disconnect between seller expectations and what buyers are prepared to pay. But I'm also seeing early spring energy, especially from upsizers who are thinking about long-term and preparing now so they can move confidently when the right home hits the market. The biggest question I'm getting right now is whether to buy or sell first. And the truth is that depends less on timing the perfect month. And more of having a clear plan that fits your life. Buyers who build a framework around payment comfort and 10-year goals are going to feel calmer. Sellers who prepare their home now, even if they're not ready to launch immediately, are creating flexibility. And flexibility in a higher inventory market is power. January is not a panic month, it is a strategy month. As we move towards March and the snow starts to melt, we typically see momentum build across Huron County, especially families returning from winter travel and starting to think seriously about spring moves. If you are watching this and wondering how all of this applies to you, just remember that your situation is unique. There are hidden opportunities in this market, especially for buyers who understand negotiation and for sellers who prepare early and position intentionally. All of my contact information is in the description below. You can also find resources on my website to help you buy, sell, and plan your next move here in Huron County. Whether that is a family home, acreage, Lake Huron cottage, I'm always happy to chat through your strategy and help you build a plan that fits your life. I will see you again next month with an updated report.